be elevated today. Yeah, the last couple times we've had communion, and we're having it more regularly again because we are going to do it. I get told I need to make so many restrictions and so many things, and I honestly believe that if we take our precautions, if we're careful, we'll be okay. And the purpose of communion, the remembrance of what Christ did for us, is so significant that every Christian religion, denomination, whatever you want to call them, recognizes that as a sacrament, which means sacred. It's something that Christ told us to do. But there's another time, it's in Acts, and it's how the church was just starting to figure out how they were going to do things. Sometimes you hear the church referred to as a family. And in Acts chapter 2, the people in the early church, starting with verse 42, they devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching and to fellowship, to breaking of the bread and to prayer. Everyone was filled with awe at the many wonders and signs performed by the apostles. All the believers were together and had everything in common. They sold property, possessions to give to anyone who had need. Every day they continued to meet together in the temple courts. They broke bread in their homes and ate together with glad and sincere hearts, praising God and enjoying the favor of all people. And the Lord added to their numbers daily those who were being saved. They got together on a regular basis and broke bread in two ways. One, communion. But the other one was take time to share with each other. We've had a custom for the last several years of trying to invite everybody who begins coming or has come back after a long break to go out to lunch with a group of us. I like the fact that we're going to restart these potlucks. Apparently, there's not this week. There's not a big attraction for it, but we're because we need to sit down and talk with each other. There's not a more friendly, more family time than when we sit down across from the table and talk and share. Eating's a good reason for that. I know when I was in working different places, Thanksgiving always got to be a crazy time because everybody was trying to get together with everybody. I know some people that make 4 and 5 stops on Thanksgiving just to be able to share with different members of the family. They said that they'd go one place and have kind of the appetizers and hors d'oeuvres, and the next place they'd go and have the main meal, and the next place they'd go have dessert, and the next place they just got to go and talk. But this is somebody making an effort to get together. I know I grew up there were 5 of us, and Mom wanted us all there. Well, that gets difficult because Candy has 3 brothers, and her mom wants all of us there. And my brother married into a family that had several siblings. Because it gets to be almost a battle royale, and we figured something out. Thanksgiving does not need to be the last Thursday of November. You can make any day that you kind of all can get off a Thanksgiving dinner. You don't have to have a turkey. You can have ham. You can have Thanksgiving. Now, this will sound heretical with tofu. Now, I don't know why you would want to do that, but just getting, you don't want the experience. Just the act of getting together and sitting down and talking. And we are planning on having, I mentioned Thanksgiving, our Thanksgiving community dinner. Now, last year, we only had a small one. We made a lot of to-go meals and stuff. But on the average, we have, the maximum we've been able to seat downstairs at any one time is about 70 people, 70, 75 people. We have fed close to 200. Now, part of those were maybe 40, 50 meals went out to people who could not make it. They were shut in. But the others, they just rotated through. And the crazy thing is, we never ran out of food. It was almost like Jesus feeding the 5,000. And then the food just, the pots never went completely empty. But that allowed this community to come together and to talk with each other. One of the things I like is when the seats run out. Because everybody will start out sitting with their friends or family. Then you have to take any seat available, and you might not know the person next to you. You had to learn about them. You had to meet them. And the church found out how important this was. Now, they were in Jerusalem because they talked about being at the temple. That means people will be drawn from all over the world, all over the known world at that time. And they were coming for the purpose of seeking God. And they were sitting down and finding out about a whole new belief. That the Messiah had actually come. And they didn't do that because some guy was standing there preaching. They were doing that because they were sitting down talking with people and sharing a meal. Port Royal, if you go around this county and you go around this state, is one of the smallest towns that you can still call a town. There's a place up the road called Turner Station. In fact, that's our address. There's nothing there anymore because there's no place for the people to meet. No place for them to sit down and share together. Sulphur is the same way. We have been blessed. We've still got that place across the street where we can sit down and talk. I've got it on my calendar that I'm going to be there at least one morning a week and usually a second one. And I always plan to be there for an hour. And to date, I have not been able to cut it off at an hour. I showed up at 8 o'clock Saturday morning, and I was there for a little over 2 hours. Just because people want to talk. We had supper with friends last night, and he had been in about the same situation I was. And just as he was getting ready to, we were all getting ready to get up and leave, somebody else walked in. And this guy usually shows up about 10 o'clock. Just when we finally decided we've got to get something done. And he said, I think the guy thinks I'm trying to shun him or something because I wind up leaving just as he shows up. But, you know, we do have to cut it off. There's so few times any of us will get together accidentally. We have to have a purpose. Now, you get if your kids are very active in sports or very active in other activities, the parents wind up sitting there talking. One year, Trevor, when he was playing soccer, we didn't have enough kids to have a soccer team his age. They wound up playing in Oldham County, and I became a soccer mom. And I say that because I was the only male in the stand. And I could not sit there for very long. We actually started a walking club that year. So, but the intimacy of sitting down and talking and sharing a meal together. We need two things, multiple things in our lives, and two of them are sustenance, food, and the other one is community. I was sitting down the other day trying to figure out what are the top 10 most important things. And the first thing that came to mind was money. But then I started figuring out, well, wait a minute. What good is money if I don't have relationships? What good is money if I don't have basic literacy to know what's going on? What good is money if I don't have my health? What good is money if I don't have other things? And I was able, in that top 10 list, to prioritize other things. But you know what I figured out? Good relationships, good literacy, all these will get you the money. You know, that works. As we start these potlucks up, and you know, you can tell this was meant for a few extra people. I want to encourage everybody when we sit down upstairs and we start eating, just sit with somebody maybe you barely know. You know, you've seen them in here, or you've seen them around the community, and get to know them. This passage of Scripture, the earlier part, has been so distorted. It's been the argument for Christian socialism. That they had everything in common. People would sell and share it with those in need and all this stuff. But the reality was, they were doing that because they wanted to, not because they were forced to. And they were getting together and spending time together. The most valuable thing there is time. They did this to know each other, to learn more about Christ's teachings, to discuss the miracles that were being performed by the apostles, the new concept of faith, the new concept of fulfilled prophecy. They also discussed the needs of the community, the needs of each other. I already mentioned the state's going to have to do without him from now on. And I can guarantee you one thing, that there are some things that you know that nobody else knew. that you have built relationships that nobody else had. And even though we've got a huge state number of people working with the state and stuff, they're going to find out that each individual in yourself is more valuable than they realize. But they didn't realize that because they didn't have a relationship. So we're going to have communion here in a moment. I'm going to break the rules once again on how we're going to do it. And this is the time that we take. A sacred time to remember why Christ came. And then afterward, we're going to have a meal. And I will tell you, Andy says it's not the best batch of lasagna she's ever made. But it's done. Then we can share with each other who we are, who we want to be, and how God